Hello, welcome. My name is Tracy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Central Victoria, Australia. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm taking part in the global monthly video collaboration again. So this is our second month that we have been doing this, and I'm so happy to have you here. Our video collaboration is between Stampin' Up demonstrators in the US, Canada, Germany and Netherlands, as well as Australia obviously. And each month we'll be choosing a different stamp set and we'll be doing a video tutorial with that set. As we're all Stampin' Up demonstrators, if you live in any of the countries I mentioned and you do not already have a demonstrator that you work with, you can find more information to each demonstrator in the description of this video. And if you're watching in Australia and you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to help you out with that. So let me know if you have any questions. So this stamp set for this month is the Good Morning Magnolia, and this is an awesome stamp set. It was a must-have when the annual catalogue come out, and I will tell you for September this month I will be using a lot of inspiration from this stamp set. We'll be using it a lot. So if you are not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you're not already following me on Facebook, please do make sure you get onto that, and because I have so much inspiration all this month. So like I said, this is the stamp set this month. Let's get rid of this and I'm going to bring you in what I'm making today. So this is a note card box and it's made with the gorgeous Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper. It actually uses a lot of things in the suite. So we have the petal pink organdy ribbon, and I love this magnolia, isn't it sweet? Now this box is not my design. I actually cased this from a UK demonstrator, Caroline Hallett. I will put her details in the description of this video as well. If you want to see how this note box is put together, you can join me live tomorrow. That's Thursday the 8th of September at 5 PM Australian Eastern Time, and I'm going to do this for my live presentation tomorrow. So let's open it up. What we're doing today is the note cards that are inside. But isn't that gorgeous? That is a really cute little box. Absolutely gorgeous. So I've gone from fairly basic note cards to start with, and as I've gone through I've just increased the difficulty. Even though all these are very simple and basic cards, I've just added a little bit more details. You can see the colour combo is all pinks and greens and browns, and I will show you where I got that inspiration from, because I think that is really important. If you're new to Stampin' Up, that you need to know this, because it will make your life so much easier. So there are the 5 cards that note cards that we'll be making today. But I want to bring in that Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper. Now this is absolutely beautiful. It's got some beautiful colours in it. But the trick I want to show you is on the very back. If I just bring that up, it'll actually tell you what the coordinating colours are that's in this Designer Series paper. So for the Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper, the coordinating colours are Basic Black, Early Espresso, Mossy Meadow, Petal Pink, So Saffron and Whisper White. And this takes the guesswork out of what you're matching with your Designer Series paper. It just makes it so much easier. So if you weren't aware of this being on the back, take a look at that on all your Designer Series paper, and it will really take that guesswork out of coordinating your colours for you. Now the other reason why I wanted to also bring in the Designer Series paper, not only with the stamp set, was because I really liked the coordinating colours with it. And in my stash I actually have quite a few, especially in the Mossy Meadow and the Early Espresso, of offcuts. So when I cut my card, whatever's left over, whether they be little bits, whether they're bigger bits, I will put them in these little plastic containers with their name on them, and I go to these plastic sleeves to get my cardstock out. These are great for die cutting, for punching, and you use your scraps up. I always go to my file first before I go to my full pieces of A4 cardstock. So if you don't do this, this is a really great idea. Even if you just have one for green, one for brown, one for pink, and you pop them all in there together until you get a bit more scraps together. But this will save you a lot of money. So here's our 5 cards. Let's bring in some of the supplies needed. Obviously we are using that Good Morning Magnolia stamp set, and we're actually using quite a few of the stamps on this, so you're getting good coverage of the stamp set. I'm using the coordinating dies from this set as well to cut out some of these images. I have the Magnolia Lane cork embellishments, and this was actually, I've just used these off-cut pieces because this has been used in another card that I've done. So these were left over and that's what I've popped down. There is a ribbon combo in this suite, and we're using that Mossy Meadow twine on this card as well. I've also brought in a little bit of Whisper White Baker's twine. The punches, I've actually popped in a few punches. This one is new in the annual catalogue. It is called, and I have to look at the name because I keep forgetting it, Delightful Tag Topper Punch. So that one is just new. I had to use it on this card because I hadn't used it yet. Also using the 2-inch circle punch and the Starburst punch as well. Now the great thing about these cards is you can just use what you have in your stash. You don't have to use the same tag topper or the same circle. You can change it around to suit you. That's the great thing about these cards. You can make them your own. So I think that's all I had to show. Oh, actually, let's go into the... So the last thing we have is our inks that we're using, and we have the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, Petal Pink, and Early Espresso. And one thing I haven't got out yet is we're using the Stampin' blends as well, and I've got the light and dark Petal Pink and the light and dark in the Old Olive as well. So I'm going to pop these to the side. I'm going to do one at a time. Let's start off with the more basic one here. I'm going to bring the Petal Pink ink in, and I have my card packed just here. Now each card has description of all the measurements and supplies that I've used, so check that out, and that's on my blog post. So we have these note card and envelopes, and they come in a pack. Very, very cheap and economical to use, and like I said, we're only using 5 in this whole gift pack, so really, really cheap and economical. And we've got our piece of Petal Pink that's just going to be layered over the top. But before we do that, I want to bring in that large Magnolia flower stamp. I'm going to ink that one up. And with such a large stamp, you are better off to take the ink to the stamp rather than try the other way around. There's heaps there. Just going to bring in a piece of paper so I can stamp on and not wreck my backing paper. So I'm going to line this up on the left hand side down the bottom. Nice and even pressure. And that's as easy as that one is. So I've got the Hello stamp as well on the piece of Whisper White. And we're also using the same colour, so Petal Pink ink. Beautiful. So the next thing is we're just going to use some Tombow glue, and we're going to glue that down onto that note card. Now I've chosen to also stamp my envelopes because I think keeping your set together always looks really good. I'm going to bring some dimensionals in. I've got a new set here because I can't see where they are on my desk. My desk is an absolute brothel at the moment. I've been busy all morning. I might as well stick another one in the middle. And this just gives it that little popped up effect. Taking that down. Beautiful. Inside the card we have that stamped again inside, so let's open that back up again. Take the ink to the stamp, and we only just want a little bit down the bottom there. Don't want to take up too much of the area where we can write. So just like that. And then on the envelope, I've gone with that little magnolia. So making sure it's up the right way. Bring that magnolia stamp in. And we're still going with the petal pink. I'm going to do that on the bottom left side. So there we go. One note card done. Let's pop those ones to the side. And we can move on to the next one. So let's bring that next one in. Now for this one we are using that large, beautiful stamp here. I'll bring that note card in as well. And for this little piece we have some petal pink cardstock that we're going to use as well. That's it there. So we're going to ink this stamp up, and I'm just going to stamp all the way down to the bottom of that note card. Now for this card I've also stamped on the inside of the note card and the envelope. So let's bring the envelope in really quickly as well. I've actually stamped it upside down. That's okay. So there's our background stamping. We have two pieces of petal pink to go along with this note card. The longer piece is for our sentiment here, so let's bring that sentiment in as well as the Memento Tuxedo black ink. We're just going to stamp that one really quickly in the middle. Now this one actually has some die cutting, so I'm going to bring the Big Shot in and we'll quickly die cut some of those pieces. So on this little piece of petal pink, we're going to we're going to die cut two of the large leaves and then two of the small ones that we're going to pop on that note card. And that's the only die cutting we need for that card, but for another card, which will be our next one, we'll quickly do that die cutting as well. And we have a piece of the Early Espresso, and we're going to do this die cut flower here. We'll be bringing the Big Shot back again later on, but I'll just quickly do these ones because this is the very next card. So I'm just going to pop that to the side until we do the next card. Our leaves are now die cut and I've popped all those little centers out. We're going to take our sentiment and I'm just going to run a little bit of tear and tape on the top and bottom on the right hand side, and this is what we're going to attach these leaves to. So little strip there and a little strip here, taking our backings off. And I find this is the best way to get your die cut pieces to sit down properly. So we want a large and a small on both the top and the bottom. just like that. A large one as well. I didn't quite get all those pieces. Sometimes I'll come out when you run it through the big shot, and sometimes you've got to poke them through. And that one down the bottom here. Super cute. And let's pop that one up with some dimensionals. And we're going to pop some basic rhinestones down on this note card as well, just to give it a little bit of extra bling. So I have my rhinestones here. I'm going to stick a larger one just on the top right side of the sentiment. Also going to stick another large one down here, and a smaller one. So there's our second card. One's down a little bit lower than the other, but you can choose yourself where you would like to put it. So that's the second one there. Let's move on to the third card here. And this one is in the Early Espresso colours. And it's also the one that we have already die cut that flower out with. So let's just fold and score our note card. And these are really nice and thick, good quality. Gonna pop out those pieces. This is a great little flower to add a little detail to a card. It's almost like a lily. Okay. Now the pieces for this card are the Designer Series paper, which is part of that pack. We have a piece of Whisper White in the thick, and I'm going to pop it in what did I say this was? Delightful Tag Topper Punch. I will get the name of it in my head. I'm just going to feed it through, lining it up so it's in the center and nice and even. Okay, I'm punching it down. And that gives us that beautiful little tag. So for this card we're using the Early Espresso ink, so let's bring that one in. And the sentiment of the card is thinking of you, which it's nice to send something like that to someone. So we're going to stick that down sort of up in the middle area. Get rid of this ink. I have a little strip of the Early Espresso cardstock, which is just going to lay on the bottom of that tag. This gives us another little bit of a fun detail. So let's stick our Designer Series paper straight down onto the note card. Going to glue this die cut down to our Designer Series paper. So just like that. And you can also stick a glue dot under this piece here of the die cut if you like, if you're worried that it's going to move too much. I believe I did that for the last one just to make sure. Just lift that up, stick that down. There we go, it's not going anywhere now. And we're going to pop this piece up with some dimensionals. And this is actually an old bit of card that from the last month's collaboration that I didn't use. I think I made a mistake and I started again, so. But the thick Whisper White's really great for this. Like, you can use both sides and not have it see through at all. So we're laying that down over the top. And I'm going to bring in some of that Whisper White Baker's Twine. I'm going to do a double knot. So laying that over, doubling it over, and then I'm going to do a quick bow. I think that looks good, and I can just cut off those tails. If you have kinks in your twine, just use your bone folder and run it along, and that gets all those kinks out. So I'm going to put that down with a glue dot, so just fold your glue dot over so it's in half, and popping the bow straight down on there, and then we can lift that up underneath and popping it down. Now I think I might leave them long like that. What do you think? These ones are a little bit shorter. Okay, so we can now move on to inside and our envelope. So I've got my Early Espresso in again. And for both the envelope and the card, I've used that small Magnolia. Because we used that in Petal Pink, let's bring the chamois in and we'll just quickly give it a quick lane. So I'm going to stamp that Magnolia in the corner inside the card and also on the envelope. And there's our third card all ready. This is our fourth card, again using some Designer Series paper. And let's bring that card kit in. Quickly just fold and score the note card. Now this one is using the 2-inch circle punch. So for this card, I just went to my scrap bag and I grabbed 2 pieces of Early Espresso there, just to stick on a little crisscross in the back, just to give it just a little bit extra detail there. So our matting piece is the Mossy Meadow, and I'm just going to pop that straight down with some Tombow glue. Need another glue, I think. So that gives us that little bit of a matting. We have our Designer Series paper that I'm going to glue straight down as well, and it's the opposite to the one we just done. So this measures 2 inches by 4 inches. So you got, I just cut off a 2-inch strip of the Designer Series paper. You get 3 of these pieces from 1 strip. So I'm going to layer that on the right hand side. And I just realised I have actually done this wrong before popping that matting down, you really want to make sure that you've got your strips down. But I can go in and I can cut them off, so I'll do that. So let's lay these down over the top. And get them nice and on the edges here of the mossy meadow. If you do it before you pop that down. Let me go and get a glue as well. Okay, so new glue makes it a little bit easier. And we're just going to do a crisscross pattern. I might just do them to the edge of the note card. That won't hurt it. So let's just turn that over and we'll just cut those edges off. My thick whisper white I'm going to punch out with the 2-inch circle punch. And I'm bringing that large Magnolia flower back in and using the Petal Pink ink. So let's ink that big stamp up. Also bringing that scrap in again, and let's stamp over the top of that beautiful circle. Now it does lighten as it dries as well, so you don't have to worry too much. It does lighten. So I'm also going to bring in that thanks stamp and the early espresso ink. I'm going to ink that up and we're just going to stamp that in the middle there. Now I think this would actually look really nice with maybe the Starburst punch in the early espresso in the background. So let's just quickly show you what that would look like. I've got a bit of scrap. I'll punch that Starburst out. Yeah, that looks good too, doesn't it? So you could definitely jazz that up that little bit more with that Starburst punch underneath. We're going to pop this one up. I have to clean my craft desk. It's a very big mess that I can't find anything on. So once again, this is a piece of the thick whisper white that I used in my last collab video that I bungled, so I'm reusing it now. That's just going to go down in the middle there. Also going to bring in that whisper white baker's twine. I'm going to do a little bow, and this is just a single bow this time, we're not doubling it up. So we have our little bow there. I'm going to chop off that tail. Actually, I think these are a little long too, so let's just chop the tails down a little bit more. I'm going to fold over one of those glue dots again because they work really well in halves. Pop that down on my designer series paper there. So the last thing to do is my envelope for this card. And for the envelope, I've just done the same for the inside, just a little corner of that stamp. So let's ink that stamp up. I'm just going to do that corner. And that makes our second last card. So let's make our very last one, our 5th card. And the 5th card is this one here. It's a little bit more in depth, and I want to show you. So we have the cork embellishment in the background. This gorgeous detail here that's made with the Mossy Meadow cardstock, and this is actually a piece left over from another card I've made for this month's videos, and it is made with this die that comes in the set, and all I've done is I've just die cut on a long strip of A4 card, just along there, and then cut it out. So let me bring in the card kit and I'll just show you. So it's just a piece of A4 with the die. So leftover piece that I'm reusing. Card making is all about don't throw it out, use it for another project, and that's what I've done here. So I have the card base here, and we have some more design series paper from that pack, and I really love this small magnolia flowers here. I have a project using this paper this month as well, so we can pop that straight down with some Tombow glue. September is all about magnolias, so I hope you enjoy this stamp set, and if you haven't got it yet, hopefully I'll give you enough inspiration that you would want it. Okay, so simple as that. We have another piece of the designer series paper, which is just the other side, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that one down as well. Whoop. And I'm using this leftover piece. I'm just going to try and work it so this point in the die can go in the middle. So if I just going to do a quick cut. Chuck some glue down on it. I'm just butting it up against the designer series paper there. Same for this one, popping it in the middle, just chopping off those edges. And if you do the full A4 size, you'll be able to do that out of one piece, especially if you make the project that I made these out of. These are the leftover bits. Okay, turning that over, and I'm just going to chop off all those extra pieces. And a piece of the thick Whisper White, and I'm going to bring the Memento Tuxedo Black ink in. And using this flower, because this has got early espresso, let's bring in the chamois again, and we'll just quickly give that quick clean. Up in the Memento. While we wait for that to dry so we can colour in with the blends, I'm getting the Mossy Meadow piece, and we're going to cut that out with the Starburst punch. So we have our Starburst punch. To colour in our flower, we're using the light and dark combo of Old Olive and Petal Pink. And I'm going to start with the light Old Olive. I'll bring that card in again. And with the light one, I'm just going to colour in those leaves. Now this is very basic colouring, because I'm going to come back with the dark, and I just want to add those highlights in the shadow areas. So there we go. Let's bring the dark in. And where those veins are, I'm just going to go along those veins just to add that extra dimension in. Now I find with the Magnolia, it's best to be light. So I've coloured in the whole thing in the light, and then I've just gone in the veins with the dark. Now, keeping it the lightest is better, because Magnolias can be white with a little bit of pink, or they can be pink, but I think they look better where they're almost white. And in one of my other projects, I've actually left it completely white, and I've just gone in there with the light combo in those in the shadow places. So bringing that dark one in, just going to go along in that area. So just where all those shadows are, so it keeps it nice and light. And just like that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the big shot in, and we're going to cut that out. So lining that die up. It's a great little die to have. And that cuts out perfectly. Just bring all the cards back in. There we go. We're popping this piece up onto the Starburst Punch piece. And all this thick Whisper White come in handy from last week's base card that I bumbled. So I've been able to use the other side for all of these projects, which is awesome. And we're going to pop this one up on top of that designer series paper as well. And I said before, I've used, this is an off piece of another card that I've used. And you can check that out this month. It is a video for this month. I'm going to stick that straight down onto our card, and I'm going to stick some mono glue down. Just along the edge there. And you will need to hold that just for a little while. Magnolia Lane has a gorgeous ribbon combo. It has a Sahara sand coloured, like a linen texture ribbon. Let me bring it out and show you. Really soft and beautiful. And we also have the Mossy Meadow green twine, and that's what we're using for our card. So I'm just going to create a bow. This whole suite is absolutely beautiful and really easy to use all together. I'm going to bring a blue dot in to attach that to that cork base. So that's just been folded over. The glue dot's just been folded over. I'm going to stick that down on top of the glue dot. And then I can pick that up and pop it down onto the embellish pit. Now the envelope and inside the card, we have the envelope with the large Magnolia and inside the card with the small Magnolia. So Let's clean off the small magnolia. And bring that petal pink back in. Stamping inside. The larger stamp again. So we've used, pretty much the same on every card. You can use whatever you have. That's the great thing about it. Excellent. And that makes the 5th card in that set. So let's bring them all back in and we'll have a look at them all together. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today's note cards. We're making the box for the note cards in tomorrow's Facebook Live. It is Thursday the 8th of August at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I will pop the link to my Facebook page in the description of this video as well, but you can catch it live or on the replay, and I also put the replay over on my YouTube channel, so you might be able to catch it over there as well. As this is a video collaboration, please be sure to go over and check out all the other projects that the other demonstrators have created. There is a link to each of the demonstrators in the description of this video. We will be back next month with another awesome project and another awesome stamp set, and I hope to see you all back very soon. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.